Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
What the heck is a crediting method? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. The Worry-Free Retirement with your host, five-time author and retirement specialist, the annuity king himself, Tony Walker.
Hello and welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am Tony Walker, and taking a minute just to study our brand new quarterly statements from our Charles Schwab platform. I am so excited about this. Since introducing this platform in April of this year, we have now got over $35 million that's moved into this platform. And this is a unique platform because we're using Charles Schwab as our custodian. We'll put up a disclaimer later on. I'm a registered investment advisor. We have nothing to do with Schwab other than they hold onto the money, and they have great technology for us to help them as a fiduciary and put money with Schwab as the custodian. But I also purchased some software, and here's a look at Trey's, my son-in-law. He moved a small little 401k over. I know I've showed this before, but I just love this statement. This is his quarterly statement. Look at this first page, how simple it is. It shows what he's got. Of course, it shows for the last quarter. That's not representative of what you'll make. This is just his statement. He made 4.7%. And since inception, 5/22 of this year, 3.9. Look how easy it is to read, folks. No more 40-page reports that you don't understand. Then you flip over to the other side. It shows you where we've got everything allocated. Of course, we've got the funds and everything intentionally blocked off. These are very, very inexpensive funds that we use with Schwab. Our fee, listen to this, our management fee, 0.6%. Nobody's even close to that for the services we offer. And then finally, on the last page, I love this. Trey loved this too, by the way. For his little account he had with us, we have no minimum account sizes. This was around $2,000. We charged a whopping $3.12 for the quarter. So, I mean, trying to help savers worry less about money, folks. We're on a mission to help you. And incidentally, if you've got a small amount of money and you want to try the Schwab account, there are no minimum account sizes, no minimum fees. To find out more about the Schwab program, just email Shannon, that's Shannon, at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Well, we asked earlier, what the heck is a crediting method anyway? Well, in order to understand crediting methods, I got to ask you another question. Have you ever heard of a product called a fixed indexed annuity? Well, of course, if you've watched this show with any regularity, you probably have. That's because we're big fans of these products for savers. Yet some of you who are watching today may not have heard of a fixed indexed annuity, or what I'll abbreviate as an FIA. Or maybe you already possess one of these products, but if you're like most of the people I stumble across who have fixed indexed annuities they've purchased from other advisors, they have no clue how the thing even works. In fact, it was funny. We've had a great response to our Mailbox Money for Life booklet. Hundreds of those things have flown out the front door. Gene has done a great job in fulfilling those orders. If you'd like to order a free copy, it's still not too late while supplies last. Just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, scroll down and click on that Mailbox Money for Life booklet. But anyway, somebody had asked for a phone call. My son-in-law again, Trey, who's training to be an advisor here, calls him up. And they said, well, I got this annuity. I don't know what the heck the thing is. And that's what it was, a fixed indexed annuity. Somebody had sold it to them. They'd made a big commission on it. And these people don't even know what they bought. I mean, I see this time and time again. It's pretty crazy. So as much as I love fixed indexed annuities, guess what? Just like any financial product, they do have drawbacks. There is no perfect product, folks. I keep telling you that over and over again. And if there's any advisor, including me, yours truly, if I ever fall into this trap, but if there's any advisor who says otherwise, in other words, you got to do this or don't do that, I'm going to refer to them as what my granddad used to say, and this is going to get very vulgar. When he used to see somebody on TV and they were saying something he didn't believe, he called them a long-nosed phony. Now, that's good 70s for you there. It is funny thinking about my granddad. We used to sit around all the time and talk, and there's a picture of me and him hanging out on the porch with the infamous cat Inky back in the late 70s. But anyway, we'd watch TV, and my grandmother Hazel would sit there and listen to him go on and on about all these long-nosed phonies. And I guess she got tired of hearing it one day, and Hazel said, well, Billy, your nose is as long as any of them. So I thought that's kind of funny. It was funny to hang around those people. Man, I miss them. But anyway, all of these long-nosed phonies on TV, 24-hour shows, goofy politicians, greed scam shows, you're watching too much stuff that has nothing to do with anything, and particularly annuities. Folks, these products can be very complicated. I'll grant you that. So we're going to cover that in just a second, and we're going to talk about something probably nobody has explained to you in regards to these FIAs, and that's what we call crediting methods. I bet the guy that bought you the last $50 steak dinner at the dinner seminar didn't go over this. The people peddling annuities on the internet do not really even understand crediting methods. That's because most of these people haven't been doing annuities as long as we have. In fact, if you go all the way back to 9/11, that's when I was managing money, and in the public's eyes and the client's eyes that I had, they're like, Tony, you got to have a better option than this, or accounts are going down like, gangbusters. Help, what can we do? And that's when I decided to start researching these products called fixed indexed annuities. And over that time, okay, they can go up in value when the market goes up. But there is a little bit of a con to this. Sometimes, and you're going to see this in a minute, even though they track with the stock market, a fixed indexed annuity can go up as a percentage with the market. Every once in a while, they will not go up even when the market goes up, which a lot of people never want to talk about. I've written over 2,300 fixed indexed annuities. So we've had a long time to watch these things play out. We've had a long time to study crediting methods. So again, when I first started selling fixed indexed annuities, I wasn't that familiar with them either. It took a while to understand the nuances and the mechanics of how they work. Again, I was a money manager at that time in the 90s. I didn't know a whole lot about annuities. I'd sold them on and off. I'd been licensed to sell annuities since 1984, but not to the extent we do now. Given the second fact is, many of you have annuities, fixed indexed annuities, variable annuities, fixed interest annuities. And the real problem is you don't have a game plan. So again, we're going to talk about fixed indexed annuities in the coming segment here, and I'm going to go into a lot of detail on the whiteboard about how crediting methods really work. So, regardless of whether you own an annuity or thinking about buying an annuity, this is going to be good stuff. Even if you had an annuity you purchased years ago and you're like the young lady that Trey talked to and said, I don't even know what this thing is, you're going to want to stay tuned for this. When I get back, we'll get the whiteboard out. We'll be talking about crediting methods. You stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening and watching the WorryFree Retirement.
And now it's time for the adventures of Stella, the Black Russian Terrier.
Is that good? Are you healthy?
You've been watching the adventures of Stella, the Black Russian Terrier.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? For a limited time, 5-time author and retirement specialist Tony Walker is making available his latest book, Mailbox Money for Life. For your free copy, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
I've worked hard all my life, and I've saved a lot of money in my 401k. And now that I'm getting close to retirement, I really don't know what to do with it.
Sound like your situation? I'm Tony Walker, and for the past 30 years, I've helped thousands of people worry less about money, and I'd like to help you too.
Don't leave your future to chance. Get a game plan now with one of the most experienced and trusted names in the business. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Did you realize that Wall Street and your advisor could be making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year to manage your money? There's no reason to remain in the dark about fees. Take advantage of our free fee analysis today and learn more about our new investment management platform using Charles Schwab as our custodian. To learn more or to find out what the fees are on your investments, log on to
Worried about running out of money in retirement? Register for Tony Walker's next free workshop, Mailbox Money for Life, November 13th in Louisville and November 14th in Bowling Green. Log on to register at TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches.
All right, came back with a Tony in the Trenches. Here's a question from Dan in Louisville. Dan says, Tony, several years ago I purchased 2 fixed indexed annuities. I was told they would make 7%. However, over the last couple of years, by the time they take out their fees, I haven't made hardly anything. What's up? Well, Dan, you've done the typical problem that a lot of people are falling into, and that is not understanding the difference between the income account value, which is what this advisor must have told you, that's the 7% you're getting, which is only used to calculate mailbox money. It's not really a real number, versus the contract value, which is the side that is linked to the stock market. And it's a great segue, Dan, we can slide right into my presentation here on what's called crediting methods. So I've taken time to talk about annuity crediting methods. Now, there are a ton of different ways to credit an annuity. Basically, what a fixed indexed annuity does, picture the insurance company issuing these annuities. They've got all of these assets, and to make it simple, they're in real good high-grade corporate bonds, okay? So let's say this overall bond portfolio that's probably billions of dollars makes 5%. They might skim off 2% at the top for their profits and expenses, so they've got 3% left to work with. Now, in my book, Don't Follow the Herd, I talk about this idea of the barn and the stall and the cow remaining in the stall and the milk going out to market. Well, that's what these fixed indexed annuities do. They take the dividends from the bonds and they buy options in the market, and that's why the principal is protected. The cow or the bond portfolio they're representing never leaves the stall. So these dividends go out, and you can credit these dividends in all kinds of different methods, but we're only going to focus on 2 different crediting methods to show you how they might work. And what you're going to find out is, yes, in some cases, a fixed indexed annuity will not go up in value even when the market goes up. And if you have one that has an income rider with a fee, actually your principal, and we've had a few of these quite frankly, can go down a little bit, because if the contract value doesn't go up, even though the income value is going up at 6 or 7% or whatever it is, they have to deduct their fee, which comes off the contract side. By the way, for a great booklet on this, just overall annuities, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, request the free annuity decision guide for savers. That's a great little booklet. All right, in the essence of time, Aaron's kind of doing this to me. Let's keep going here, Tony says. So we have 1 scenario and 2 scenarios. The first scenario we're going to look at is monthly point to point, with the market going up every year, the stock market, or every month, excuse me, these are 12 months represented, or monthly point to point, you're going to see with 1 month the market going down. The other participation or crediting method is called the participation rate. In this example, we'll put 50%, okay? It could be more, could be less, with no cap. So there's all kinds of crediting methods. We're just picking on these 2. And the same thing, we're going to show you what happens when the market goes up with no losses and then a loss, all right? So let's come over here. So let's imagine when you purchase this, let's just say you took it out today. Today's recording is on the 24th of October of 17. So every year, that would be your contract value. You cannot change that contract year, and they're going to look at the market every month, in this case the monthly point to point, from 10/24 every year to 10/23 of the next year, which is exactly 365 days. So here's where we're going to play a little game, all right? We're going to imagine, let me get a black pen for some contrast, Aaron. We're going to imagine that every month the stock market goes up, okay? Every month it goes up, and let's just say that increase was 20% for the year, your contract year, and they will track this for you. The insurance companies do that. And let's say in this example, this has a 1% per month cap. So what they're going to do, they're going to give you 1% here, and then 1 plus 1 plus 1. They just keep doing that. So if in the perfect world it went up every month at least by 1%, the maximum you could get would be 12%, right? Because you got 1% per month. That's called a monthly point to point with a 1% cap. And again, this is really the only moving part, the caps. The caps have come down because bond yields have come down. I remember when I first started using these, a cap on a monthly point to point back around 2002, 2003 was almost 3% per month. I mean, so they have come down quite a bit. All right, now let's change this up though. Let's imagine that it's going great guns, great guns, great guns, and the last, let's say last month it goes down, then back up a little bit, okay? So we've had a 1% or more increase every month, but let's just say for the heck of it, this drop was, in that 1 month, 15%. So it went down and then it went back up 1% the next month. Now here's the bad news, folks. Even though theoretically the market went up over the 12 months, when they're doing monthly point-to-point calculations, there is no floor if there's a loss in any 1 month. And last year, quite frankly, I guessed wrong on this. One reason I didn't choose monthly point-to-point last year, I was convinced with an election year we were going to have some volatile months. And I know how these contracts work, so on the math I was concerned if we're only getting a 1% cap per month, but we have a couple of volatile downturns, they're going to subtract away all our gains. So in this case, you would have made, on this particular example, 0%, even though the market went back up, because that one big drop of 15% negated everything you made for the year. Okay, so in that case, you didn't lose anything, but you didn't make anything. Okay, let's do the same thing over here, Aaron. I think I'm going to grab this blue pen. It might look a little better. Now, what we're going to do, as best I can, I know this isn't to scale, we're going to imagine you selected, oh yeah, it looks better. You didn't select the monthly point-to-point. You went with the annual point-to-point with the participation rate currently in this example of 50% and no cap. What that means is it's going to pay 50% of whatever the S&P 500 in this example makes. So again, we're going from 1024 to 1023. You elected this time instead to use this crediting method. So what did it go up? Remember, it went up 20%. You get 50% of 20, and you made 10%. Now, in some crazy scheme, if it made 40% in the market, you would have made 20. If it made 10, you'd made 5. If it made 3, you'd made 1.5. You just take, it's very simple. And they don't care what happens here. This is called annual point to point. And let me show you why I say they don't care. So let's try to emulate this line. So this is scenario 2. So what would happen in an annual point to point with participation if this happens? Let's do it again. So it's going straight up. We have that big dip, but then it goes back up. So all they're going to say is they say, okay, Tony, this is an annual point to point. It came back up to about 10% overall, because again, they just want to know what the S&P was here and what it was here. They don't care what it did in between. So you would take 50% of the 10, and in this case, you still would have made 5%. Not bad. So you can see how this can play out. Now, could have gone the other way. What if, now we're kind of role playing, what if this hadn't dropped a whole lot and then kind of just leveled off, all right? The same thing. It would have come down here, leveled off, and they'd done the calculation. Wait a minute. Aaron just says, he held about 2 minutes. Let me do one more scenario. This might be kind of cool, Aaron. I just thought of one. See, I could go on and on, but this one might be a cool scenario. I'll draw this out real quick, okay? This may not be 12, but you get the gist, okay? Monthly point to point here. And we'll do the annual point to point with participation again. Okay, what if this happened? This would be this could happen, okay? The market trucks along, it doesn't do hardly anything. And at the last minute, it shoots up to 20%. Well, let's say it really wasn't doing anything here. You'd get 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Last minute, on the last month it went up 20%. Quiz time. What would you make on the monthly point to point? First 11 months, 0 exactly. Let's say the market didn't budge, but the last month it shot up to 20. You'd only make 1%, remember? Because it's a 1% cap per month. Now, same thing. If you had the the annual point to point with the participation in the last month, something great happened, it shot up, you would have made 10% because again, they're only looking at annually, point to point, what happens here. So folks, as you can see, there's a lot of nuances with an annuity. I heard a gentleman on TV bashing annuities because he said they're complicated. Well, on the one hand, probably shouldn't bash annuities because he obviously doesn't understand them. But he was right about the one thing. They can be complicated if you don't take time to study these contracts. And more importantly, as I said, over the last 16 years, I've personally written over 2,300 annuities. So we've had time to watch this play out. So here's what I would suggest you do. Maybe if you're sitting there again, you own a current annuity. I don't mind looking at it. There's no charge at all. So you own a current annuity, no matter when you purchased it. Maybe you've been to a dinner seminar, one of these $50 steak dinner seminars. There's a reason they're buying you $50 steak dinners, folks. There's a lot of commissions in these things. Before you fork over your money and pay a big commission, why don't you get a second opinion from us? We've done more of these than most people have done in the country. Sit down before you make that commitment to an annuity. That would be a situation. Maybe you're just sitting there saying, Tony, I've never heard of these products. My stockbroker never talks about them. That's probably because they're not securities products. They don't sell them. So here's what you need to do. Log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Let's get started. Let's take a look at it. I'll meet with you personally in either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky office. If you have any other questions or want to order any of our booklets, or again, attend our next and last workshop of the year, Mailbox Money for Life. And incidentally, everybody that attends the workshop, Mailbox Money for Life, will receive all 5 of my books absolutely free when you attend. So we'll look forward to seeing you at that. Well, does the Bible have anything to say about all this money? Actually, it does not. In fact, I'm going to talk to you about a concept that I like to use where I say it's not about the money, but I got to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? Register for Tony Walker's next free workshop, Mailbox Money for Life, November 13th in Louisville and November 14th in Bowling Green. Log on to register at TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Because of recent government regulations, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce predicts that over 7 million smaller investors may no longer receive the personal service from their advisor that they are accustomed to. I'm fiduciary Tony Walker, and regardless of whether you have $5,000 or $5 million to invest, we are here to serve you. In fact, let's meet soon to talk about our newest investment program utilizing Charles Schwab as your custodian. There is no minimum account size to work with us. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
I want to retire and do the things that I enjoy, but I don't want to run out of money either. I've talked to some advisors, but I don't feel like I have a game plan. I wish there was someone out there that specialized in making this simple.
Over the past 30 years, I've helped thousands of people be worry-free by creating a financial game plan that provides mailbox money for life. I'm Tony Walker, and I can help you too.
Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
All right, good cup of coffee. I hope you're doing well and you are watching the WorryFree Retirement, and we've saved a few minutes, as always, for what the Bible has to say about money. You know, over the years when it comes to life and money, I've often said that it's not about the money. People occasionally question me on this and saying, Tony, you're in the money business. That's all you do is dole out financial advice to savers on money issues. How can you, of all people, say it's not about the money? Well, folks, I didn't come up with that notion that it's not about the money. God did. In fact, as we discussed in a recent show, when we look at the book of Revelation, we studied chapter 18 a little bit, that the tears of grief at the destruction of the world system, Babylon, the tears didn't come from politicians or the religious folks. It came from the merchants who lost all their stuff. They were the ones crying when all this stuff came crashing down. And so too, do I see some of these signs of the people as we continue to put so much money, for instance, and stock it away and stockpile it. Now, the author of the book of Ecclesiastes, I love Ecclesiastes, says about this again, that it's considered to be, this was written by Solomon, by the way, Solomon was considered to be the richest man on the face of the earth. And he says in chapter 10:19 in Ecclesiastes, let's go there, Aaron, real quick, full screen. 10:19, he says, men prepare a meal for enjoyment, and wine makes life merry. But look at this part he adds on to. Let's put emphasis on this, Aaron. And money is the answer to everything. You know, right now, just turn on the news. Check it out. When it comes down to anything, you just need to figure out what's going on. You just follow the money, because that's the world's economy. It's always about the money. But man's economy, God's economy, they're totally different. Man builds his economy on certainty and also the certainty of a limited period of time when you think about it. That's why everybody's so worried. They know really they're here for a finite period of time. God's economy is built on spiritual promises and eternal time, eternity. But you say, Tony, I just found out, for instance, that my teacher's retirement may not be there one day. How come I can't worry about that? Or, Tony, I'm worried about the stock market going down because it's so high. Or, Tony, I just missed out on the last stock market run because I had my money in the bank or some of these fixed indexed annuities. Whatever it is you're worried about or maybe have regrets about, I'm going to remind you that you need to just relax. Remind yourself that this journey is really not about the money. Look at the calamity out there that we've had in just the last several months. Floods in Houston, Puerto Rico basically being wiped off the face of the earth. So I'm going to concur with the writer of Ecclesiastes where he says this, "Consider the work of God, for who is able to straighten what he has bent? In the day of prosperity, be happy, but in the day of adversity, consider God has made the one as well as the other. Listen, so that no man may discover anything that will be after him." So I would say if God is the author of both the good things and the bad things, in God's economy, He's got an answer for the good things and the bad things. We got to quit worrying so much about this stuff, folks, and put more of our trust in Him. And when you start doing that, you'll realize that it really isn't about the money and your possessions. It's about your ability to use and enjoy them. And you know what's funny about all of this? Here's what I found in my own life. The more I loosen my grip on stuff, sometimes He goes on and provides me the stuff anyway. It's strange how that works. But anyway, well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. You may be sitting there saying, Tony, I don't have a grip on anything right now. It feels like the financial world's got a grip on my money, but I don't even know what I'm doing. Why don't you take advantage to meet with me? There's no cost or obligation. We've made it so easy to do. I have an office in Bowling Green and Louisville. That's all I do full-time, folks, is sit down and try to help people map out a safe and simple game plan that they can understand so they can worry less about their money. That's my mission in life. Just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started button. By the way, we've got our last workshop of the year coming up in November in Louisville and then one in Bowling Green, Mailbox Money for Life. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be a cool workshop. If you want to find out more about Mailbox Money, also for a limited time, the book is still available at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Just scroll down and click on the Mailbox Money for Life booklet. We'll mail that to you absolutely free. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. I've enjoyed being with you. Until next time, you make it a good day. And between now and then, if all else fails, you remember to be worry-free.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.